everyone, welcome back. In this particular video, we will be discussing the problem extract numbers. So let's just directly jump onto the problem statement. What we are given is an array containing a mix of strings and numbers. Basically, what is the input can contain is example which they have given is A, then 1, then B, then 2, then C, D, 3, 4, E, and so on. So there can be different types of values present in this array. There can be alphabet, there can be collection of characters, or you can say there can be digits also. And it is not just single digit numbers because they have just simply mentioned it is a mix of strings and numbers. Numbers can be multiple digits. So it can be 10 also, it can be 942 also, anything can be there. Even for that matter, they have not told us that will there be only positive numbers or will there be also negative numbers. So we don't have to assume anything. We can say for now that there can be negatives, there can be zeros, there can be positives. So the task is to create a new array using this input array, create an output array that retains only the numbers present in the original array. That is, out of all these elements, what I have to do is out of all these elements, only the elements which are numbers, the integers is what we have to take. That is 1, then you can say 2, then you can say 3, then you can say 4, and so on. So in this case, output should be having 4 elements, which was 1, 2, 3, and 4. And the output array will be returned according to that. So the example which they have said, they have also written it will be the output as 1, 2, 3, 4. That is in the same order as they were appearing in the input. The numbers in the original array can be single or multiple digits. Now it is confirmed. There may be strings interspersed among them. It means there will be strings in between those numbers also. Like it can be a number as, let's say, 1, 2, then A, B, 3. It can be like this also. So we have to take care of all the corner cases which can exist. And what is the input format? Input format will be simple, n-sized array, and all the elements in the form of strings will be given because it will be in the form of collection of characters. Because we can represent digits also as characters only, zeroth digit as a zeroth character inside single quotes. What we have to return is the expected integer array. Output will be of integers only. So with that also we can ensure that there will not be any decimal numbers, or if there are actually, if there are, let's say, any decimal numbers, we have to discard all of them. We have to ignore all of them because we can't store, let's say, 72.5 in an integer. So we only have to take those numbers which are having digits from 0 to 9 without any decimal place also. The order of integers in the input must be maintained. That is, the output should be in the same order as they were in the input. So the example which they have given to us is A3 long, long is the string, then 17, Crio, DSA, 100, 20. Out of all these, 3 is a number, 17 is a number, 100 is a number, 20 is a number. So it is in the same order as in the input. But provided the constraints, what is the constraint? That n will be from 1 till 10 is per 5. That is maximum. There can be around 10,000 elements if 10 is per 5, if we write it. What it will be? It will be, you can say, not 10 raised to power 5, but actually 1 lakh number of elements can be there. 1 lakh strings can be there in the input. And the array of I, the value of array of I will be from 1 till 8, where array of I is the length of the string. Basically, you're saying each string will only be at most 8 length. In order to ensure that there is no such corner scenario where the value of integer will overflow the integer data type. If your language supports integer data type of 32 bits, all the numbers being only of maximum 8 size will follow that 32-bit size integers only. That is, you don't have to go for long, or you can say in general 64-bit integers. So having said that, let's actually do what? Let's actually take a test case where we are saying the numbers or the elements, the strings are nothing but, let's say, 3. Let's say the next string is 520. Let's say the next string is nothing but having elements as 520.5. Let's say the next string is minus 520. Let's say the next string which we are taking is, maybe we can say for now, which is ARCHIT. This is actually my name. The next string, let's take maybe 52ARCHIT. Then let's take maybe something like minus 1, or maybe not minus, but let's take minus 1, 2, 3, minus 5. So this is the last string. So there can be any strings, any combination of characters can be there. Even for that matter, we can have combination of other letters. Right now we have just taken English alphabets, but there can be spaces also present. So the point is how to find which all strings only represent the integer numbers, not even the floating point numbers, that is not even decimal points. So for the first number, yes, of course, as you can see, it is a number only, integer only. So we should print it or we should add it in the output. Similarly for next one. But for third one, that is for the second index, we should not add it. Why? Because it is having a decimal. And as discussed in the problem, we should not take the decimal numbers. Even if they are in the input, we should most likely discard them. However, it is actually a clarifying question in an interview that what should we do for floating point number? Should I add only 520 in the output, or should I maybe just ignore the entire 520.5 itself? But when it comes to negative numbers, it is nothing mentioned about negative numbers. What should we do with them? So for now, since it is nothing mentioned around it, what we will do it, we will consider it as an integer because negative integers can also exist. So this is a valid negative integer. We will take it. This is obviously not an integer because it is having something apart from 0 to 9. That is A, R, all these letters are apart from 0 to 9 digits. But what will happen in this case? If you will just check the first character and you will see if it is a digit, it does not mean the entire string is consisting of digits only. As you can see, the first two characters are digits, but remaining are letters. So this should also not be taken. And this is a very tricky case actually. You should not also take this one. Why? Because it is having multiple times minus symbol. Minus symbol, if there is, it should be in the front only, nothing else. Because minus numbers will have minus and then all the digits. So this is also not a valid scenario. So what are the valid scenarios? Either the number is only having digits, then obviously it will be a valid scenario and we don't need to take care of the scenario where the digits will be more than 8 because it is given in the constraint that digits will be less than equal to 8. That is fitting in 32-bit integer. Or there is one more scenario when the number should be printed in the output or should be added in the output. What is that other scenario? All the characters except the first character, all the characters except zeroth index are nothing but digits, but only the zeroth index character is nothing but a minus symbol, minus operator, or you can say negative number. So that will still correspond to an integer. But you have to mind that it should not be just simply minus. If let's say I give you a string which is only minus, in that the very first character that is a zeroth index character is a minus, but there is nothing after minus. So this is not a number. Minus is not a number. So we don't have to just simply take minus also. This corner case we also have to tackle. So what might be the approach? Approach will be go to each and every string one by one, go to each and every element of the array one by one, do a linear traversal by using a for loop, while loop, whatever, and check if that strings, all the characters are only digits or not. If there is a minus symbol, it should only exist at the zeroth index. And if it exists, there should be some digits after it. It should not have only minus. It should have minus along with some digits. At least one digit should be there. So these two scenarios should fulfill. If one of them fulfill, then only we will add it in the output, otherwise not. So what will be the time taking to run a loop over all the strings present in this array? It will be the array size, which is equivalent to n if we take it as n, that is 10 to the power 5 in worst case. Times to check whether a string has all the characters, only digits. For that, we will require the length of the string loop. That is, the outer loop will be based on the array, that is over all the strings, and inner loop will be on the particular string to check if all the characters are only digits or the first character is a minus or not. So right now, since L is only 10, or you can say not even 10, but only 8, the overall time complexity can be said linear, that is only order of n. But in general, if the length of the strings can be even larger, then we can say the time complexity will be n times L, where n are the number of strings, L is the length of each string. What about the space complexity? In this approach, since we are just creating an input array, we are just creating output array. Input and output usually we do not consider as extra space. When we talk about space complexity, we usually tell the extra space, the auxiliary data structures which we are creating to solve the problem. Or you can say maybe some recursion if we are applying. So right now we don't need any extra auxiliary data structure. That's why the space complexity will be constant, provided that if you don't consider the output as a space complexity. If you will consider output as a space complexity, obviously it will go same as the input space. That is, you can say linear times length, because linear are the number of strings, length is the length of each string, or L is the length of each string. So space will also go as n into L if you consider output. But generally, you should tell it in an interview that considering output as not an extra space will be constant. That is, there is no extra data structure which you are creating. So having said that, let's do what this is the brute force solution or even the most optimized solution. Let's try to write the instruction manual for it. So what I will do is I will say run a loop over each of the numbers, or even before that, create a list of integers which will be initially empty. Initially, we can say it will be empty. And what we are going to do is we are going to run a loop over all the strings. Run a for loop over all strings of input array and check whether that string is containing only digits or not. So run a nested for loop, or you can say inner for loop over all characters, all characters of the current string. And what do we need to check for that is we need to check whether it is only containing the digits or not. So let's say we are making a check in terms of if condition. So we will say if the character is other than 0, that is, you can say lesser than 0 or greater than 9. How we are thinking that is, either you can use some inbuilt functions to do it, but if you are not, let's say, supposed to use any inbuilt functions, then you must know the knowledge, or you must know the concept of ASCII codes. So what is the ASCII code of 0th character? It is nothing but 48. What is the ASCII code of first character? It is nothing but 49. Up till what is the ASCII code of 9? It is nothing but 57. So any character, if it is having a sky code in the range 48 till 57, then it will be a digit. But if any character is having, let's say, a sky code lesser than 48, or let's say more than 57, it will be not a digit. So that is how we can check whether a character is a digit or not. That is, if it is lesser than 0 character, or if it is greater than 9 character, then it is not a digit. So that is what I am doing right now. If the character is less than, if it is less than 0, or if it is greater than 9 character, then it is not a digit. And if it is not a digit, for now, we are just simply saying discard the input, discard the input. But there is one scenario, and what is that scenario? If the number starts with a minus. So for the scenario, which is a corner case, when the numbers will be a negative number, or you can say it will start from minus symbol, we have to take care of the count of number of occurrences of minus, because as we discussed in the test case, what we were having is if there are multiple occurrences of minus, then we can't consider it as a valid number. If the string was minus 1 2 3 minus 4 5, this is not a valid number. Similarly, only minus is not a valid number. But what is a valid number is minus, which is in the front. So what will also be not a valid number is 321 minus. This will also not be a valid number. So for that, we can actually create a flag variable, which we can initially set it to true. That is, the number is a valid number. What we will say is for the current string, set a flag variable which is valid as true. Initially, we can say it is a valid integer number. If it is going to be a character other than 0 or 9, then what we can say is discard the input, or you can say continue. But before that, check if it is a minus symbol, because obviously minus will also be other than 0 or 9. If character is minus, then we don't have to do it. Then we don't have to basically discard it, simply discard the input. That is, we don't have to just simply continue. Actually, here continue should not be the right word. Rather, what we should say is we should basically set the flag as true, set flag as false, because now the string will be invalid. Set the flag as false, because flag is what we are going to check. Based on flag true, the number will be valid. Based on flag false, number will be invalid, and we will not add it. So if character is a minus character, first what we will do is we will check if it is the very 0th index character. If the character is not a 0th index, if index of character is not 0, then also what we will do is we will just set the flag as false. Set the flag as false. And when we are setting the flag at false, we can also break. Similarly, here we can also break because no need to continue further. If one time the answer is false, like let's say for Archit, A is what making the answer false, no need to go for R or C or something else. So set the flag as false and break. But if the index is not the 0th index, then what we have to do is set the flag as false. If the character is 0th index, that is minus is in the starting, still what we have to do is, if this minus symbol is in the starting, we have to check if it is only minus or not, if there are more characters or not. If let's say there are no more characters, then also the answer will be false. So what we have to do is we have to check that if the string size is only 1, then also set the flag as false. And since then also we have to set the flag as false, we can still break. So three scenarios when the answer will be false. If the minus is present anywhere except the 0th index, that is anywhere in between the string, or if there is only minus, nothing apart from that, or if there is any other character apart from minus, 0, 1, 2 up till 9, that is any letter or any special symbol. So after running this loop, we will obviously have the flag variable. Using that, we can add it in the output. So if the flag is true, then we can say then add the string in the output array. In the output array. And once the final outer loop is done, that is when the point we can return the output array. So as discussed, it will be taking n times L time complexity. That is both the time complexities of loops will multiply because there are nested loops, and space will be constant provided that input array and output array you don't consider as extra space. So this is the instruction manual. We will be writing the code for the problem extract numbers using Java programming language. Now that you know what are the corner scenarios, you are good to go to see the video. First, what we have to do is we have to create the output of numbers, output of integers, because output will be integer. And we have to run a loop over all the strings present in the input. So I will run a for each loop for now, which will just directly iterate over the strings. If you want, you can run a index based loop, that is starting from index 0 going till the last index. But for each loop is also a good syntax because it will, you don't need the index of where the string is. You only need the string, that is A1, B2 and so on in the example. In order to check whether the string is valid or not, you need a Boolean flag variable. So you will say flag initially can be set as true. That is, the variable is valid. It is a valid number. And based on iterations over all the characters of that string, you will be able to decide whether it is valid or not. So I will run a index based loop now this time because I need indices. As you can see, we need to check whether minus was present at the 0th index or not. So I will run an index based loop starting from index 0, going till the last index of the string for which we are iterating right now, for which we are checking whether the string is valid or not. And what we need to check is first, if it is a minus character, if the character at the given index, str.char at index is the function in Java. If this character is a minus symbol, then there are two scenarios when the minus will be a wrong number, or you can say wrong symbol in a number representation. When is that? If index is not 0, because minus can only exist at the 0th index. So if index is not equals to 0, what we have to do is we have to set the flag as false or break. And the second scenario, which I will be actually combining in terms of code, will be when the string size itself is just, you can say, one, only one character is there. So either this index is not 0 where we are having the minus symbol, or the string size is not equal to, is only equal to 1. In both the scenarios, answer is false. If string dot length is the function actually, if it is only equals to 1 and that single character is minus, we have to first of all set the flag as false, that is valid should be made as false, it is not a valid number, and also break because no need to continue further. This was the first scenario. And obviously, if you want, you can just combine these if conditions also. That is, write this if condition and with this particular entire thing inside bracket. But right now, it is good to read it like this only. If it is not a minus symbol, then check it if it is other than digit or not. That is, provide a else if condition. Whether the character str.char at index, if it is lesser than 0, that is lesser than 48, or it is, you can say, anything apart from digits, that is, it is more than ninth character, that is 97 in ASCII code. If it is anything apart from 0 till 9, it is not a digit. It is not a digit. It means it is not a number. The string is not a number. Again, valid cell to false and breakout. So having said that, we are done with both the loops. Finally, after the inner loop, we are sure that whatever the string is, flag variable will help us to tell. If valid is true, then we have to add it in the output. Otherwise, don't add. Otherwise, just simply go to the next string. So in the output string, in the output array, not string, I will add the current string because it is a number if it is valid. And finally, we can return the output array. So hopefully it should be correct. Let's see. If there will be certain more corner scenarios when we will submit it, then we will try to change our code. But most likely the code will be correct for all such scenarios, whatever we think. One scenario which is right now in Java, which is not working, is when we will add a string in the array of integers. So string cannot get implicitly converted into an integer. That we have to do it using some inbuilt function. So for this, we can use an inbuilt function, which is, I guess, integer dot parse it. I think this is a function which takes string as an input and passes it into an integer. That is, converts, let's say, 234 inside double quotes as 234 directly. So as you can see, output is working. It is giving me the same order as we wanted. And first, let's submit it and see if it is going to work for all the test cases. Then we will also try to see by running it manually on various corner scenarios, which we discussed. So as you can see, all the 16 test cases are passing. Even if the test cases are not handling the minus symbol, that is, there are no such test cases for minus, you should take it as a follow-up to see that what will happen if, let's say, the string is only minus. The string is, let's say, minus 234 minus, let's say, 345 is the string. Then next string is 345 minus. Then let's say next string is, you can say, 345.0 or 245.0, and next string is having multiple minus symbols. So let's say minus 345 minus, or maybe let's take these numbers should be different so that we can find out which were the part of output. So there are 5 strings. Hopefully I should get the correct output. Let's see if our code is going to give us the correct output or not. It might happen that the test cases are not handled properly. So since test cases are not handled properly, there is no such test cases for handling negative numbers. That's why they are showing expected output to be empty, but actual output should be minus 345. Minus 345 is an integer, which we are handling. So we are actually even better than what we were expected to do. That is, we are also handling the corner scenarios very well. So this is the code. What is the time complexity of this code? We are running a loop over all the strings. If there are n strings, the outer loop will take linear time, that is n time. And the inner loop is running on the length of the string. Although the length of the string in the constraint is only given to be maximum 8 size, still in general, if we consider it as L, the inner loop will take L time. So overall time complexity will be n times L, because apart from that, we are just doing just constant operations. So overall time will be n times L. If L is anything in general, it will be quadratic. If L is almost always less than equal to 8, then it will be linear time complexity. What about space? Since we are only using a input array of strings, output array of integers, apart from them, we are not taking any extra data structure. There is no auxiliary data structure, means the space complexity is constant in nature. So time is n times L, space is order of 1. That was the solution for extract numbers. I hope everyone was able to get it. We will come back with a new video with a new problem. Till then, bye bye, take care.